Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is set up a new project. Everyone should know how to do this. Okay, after letting it load, this window is going to pop up. We're going to go to Games, and you can start with any of them, but for this example, we're going to start with a blank project, so we can do everything from scratch. And then we're going to do C++, because might as well. And you're going to select the place where you want to put it. We're going to make a new folder. Tutorials. Select the folder and name your project. Basic setup. Okay. And then we create it. You don't need to get the starter content or the ray tracing or anything. You can add the starter content while inside the project after you create it if you actually need it. Now we wait. So if you get an error that says the project can't compile or something, so these are the requirements in Visual Studio. You need to .NET because Unreal uses .NET to build everything. You can use the development with C++ and game development with C++. And that is it. You also, if these don't install the MSVZ v143, you're gonna have to install that also. But these should install the requirement right here. So after it loads, your project should look like this. This is an empty level with the basic stuff. So first things first, we have to save this level because this level does not exist. Okay, it's just in memory. So we're gonna save current level as. We're gonna make a new folder. We're gonna call it levels or maps, whatever you like. And then we're gonna call it L testing and save it. So now it's actually saved. And then go to project settings, maps and modes, and right here where it says default maps. So this is the fake level. We're gonna select our new level called level testing and set that. So when the editor starts up, you're gonna open this map, and when the game starts up, you will also open this map. So usually editor is the one you're working on, and then game is like your main menu or map or whatever. So whenever you're done with your game, you have to change this. Okay. So that's it for the basic. And then we're gonna step into C++ to create our basic classes. Okay, so for C++, I'm gonna be using Writer, which is a lot easier to use and faster than Visual Studio. So first we're gonna create a game mode. So we're gonna make a new directory, system. Sorry, game instance first. We're gonna do this. Make game instance. Alright, you select this and then you name it my game instance or whatever you want to call it. And okay. And that gets added. So currently it's only taking a long time because Writer is indexing the whole engines for the first time. So after that's done, everything should be a lot faster. We don't actually have to do anything here. We're just making them so we can, if we need to make changes in C++ later, we don't have to reparent our blueprints. We can just derive it from our already made classes. Yeah, after that, we're gonna make the player. Make a directory. And player controller. And then my player controller. And then another one, player state. And my player state. And there's one that most people don't use, but we're gonna make it cheat manager. My cheat manager. After that, we're gonna make the game mode. 3 game modes. Game mode base. My game mode. And then the system again. Bring that another class called game state. Game state base and then game state. And then one last one is the actual character. A character. My character. Okay, so we created all the classes that we need, right? Now we're just gonna close this. So if we're working in C++, we're just gonna close the engine itself, and then we're gonna work from writer at all times. So we're gonna build. You don't always have to work from writer. So if you're not using C++, you can just open the project normally. But if you are using C++, so you'll be able to debug. So now that it's done building, we're gonna press this little bug so we can debug, and it's gonna launch the engine. Okay, so now we're back here. Now we're gonna do the same thing, but here. Okay, so we're gonna make a new folder called character. But now we're gonna make a blueprint, and we're gonna find our character. So my character. And then we're gonna call it blueprint. Here. We can call it my character or whatever. Okay. And then we're gonna make all the other folders also. So we got a system folder. We have a folder. And we have a player folder. You always want to keep organized. So game mode, we're going to create your game mode. Game mode. There's my game mode. Blueprint. My game mode. We're just making blueprint types of all the C++ classes we made. Right. So go to player, we make a controller and a player state. Just start with my player controller and my player state. My player state. And I mean, you can do the cheap manager, but you usually don't. You just do it all in C++. But if we're using blueprints, we have to do it here. So, my cheat manager. And then system, we game instance and game state. That's where he did it. Oh, yeah, there it is. My game. My game. All right, so we created all the blueprint equivalents of the C++ classes we made, right? Now we have to set up the project for it to use our blueprint classes, right? So we're gonna save all, and then we're gonna go to edit, product settings, and then we're gonna go to maps and modes, and right here at the top is using this game mode, but we want to use our game mode, all right? So we select our game mode, and we save all, and then we go to our game mode, and then we set up all the classes that we need to use right here. So if we made one, we change it. We made a game state, so we change it to my game state. We made a player controller, so we change it to my player controller, etc. Default pawn, we actually made a character, so we use our character, player controller, and that's it. Yep. Okay, so our thing's all set up. Okay, now we have to get something on screen. So we're going to my character. We open full blueprint. As you can see, there's no mesh, right? So we want to go in here and add feature or content pack. And here you can see we can add the feature that we want from the main page when we create a product. So I'm gonna like do in third person. So we're gonna do third persons. We just add it to the project. And there it is. So that gave us a bunch of stuff that we're gonna do from scratch. We just want the mesh that they gave us within, right? Which is right here. We can actually delete this because we only care about the mesh. Let's delete it. And there you go. So, okay. Now we can go into mesh and select the mesh. So whichever one you want, you can select Quinn or Manning. You don't select the Unreal 4 one because we want to get animation from somewhere else, and we're gonna parent them all to this skeleton. Okay, you see. So now we have to set it up for it to be correctly. So I think it's -90 on the z-axis and -90 on the rotation. I think it's -88 on the location. But yeah, so it's set up so the feet are perfectly aligned. Okay. And you can also comes with a blueprint for animation blueprint. So you just select Manny, and there you go. It is idle. Okay. Now we can press play, and we can't do anything because but our character is here. We just can't do anything. We have to set up the input so we are able to move. and we don't have a camera either. So usually we would add this in C++, but for this thing, we're just gonna do it in Blueprint. I'll do another series where I use only C++. Okay, so we click on the mesh, add camera, no, boom arm, what they call it, forgot, spring arm. Add a spring arm, and then on the spring arm, we add a camera. And then we set up the spring arm so it's facing the back, right? So it would jaw rotation 90, and then we're gonna change the location wherever you want. So I like it up here, facing the back of the neck. Okay, and now if you press play, the camera will be there. After that, we have to set up input. Okay, so this is a lot of setup work, but it's worth it. It's really good to use. Okay, so we're gonna make a new folder called input. For input, there's a section here. The first thing we need to do is input mapping context. So IMC movement, or let's call it base, or all base actions. Okay. And then another folder, call it actions. Inside the actions, we're going to do input action, move, and another one, input action look. So for this, the value type, we're going to change it to the axis. And then for the look, we're also going to change it to a 2D axis. Okay. And then we'll close that. Save. So we got the move and look. So those are the two first actions that we're going to do. We go to input mapping context, and then we add a mapping. Then we find our move. And then this is a lot of setup. Where we set up all the keylines. Okay, so first we do W. Then modifiers. Swizzle. So Y-axis, yep. And then we add S. So to do that, you just click this and then click the tap on the key on the keyboard. You can do that with a controller too, so you don't have to find it in the list. So for this, we need two. We're gonna do swizzle with that, and then negate. You're gonna negate that. So we're negating because W is forward, but the input only brings in. So when we get the input, it's gonna give us 1, right? To go forward. But to go back, we want to go the opposite way, right? So we get the negate 1. Let me save. Okay, and then we do A. Now let's do D first, because D is just simple like that, nothing else. And then we do A, which is, oh, whoops, wrong button. So we do A, which is just the same as D, but negate it. And that's it for our move. Save. And then, so sometimes, so you have to like collapse it and then save, because if you don't, it will just come up already opened, and then it's really annoying to look at. Okay, so now we're gonna add the look. So we go and find look, and we look for mouse XY 2D axis. That is your mouse movement, right? And then we're gonna negate it so we don't have, like in games where you grab an airplane, up is down, down is up. We don't want that, so we're gonna negate it, and only on the Y. Okay. And that's it. That's the setup. And we're gonna close this. Okay, so now we're gonna set up the input mapping. So you want to open your player controller. You can also do it on your character, but I don't want to cast it, so I just do it here. And it is add mapping. Oh, no, we have to get enhance input local player subsystem. Right. And then add mapping context. And we set it up. And then for the mapping context, you can promote it to a variable if you want. Mapping context. And compile, save, and then you select it from here, the base. And that is it. But now we actually have to set up the actions. So the inputs are set up. So as you can see, we can go in here and show debug input, enhance input. And as you can see on the left, the green, when I move my mouse, that's the input. And when I press WASD on the left side, you can see which ones I'm pressing. So it's set up, but we're not doing anything, right? Because we haven't set up the actions. Okay, so we're gonna go to the character, delete this, and actually like right here. So this is the event graph. Well, we can make another graph, call it input. And now all our input logics are gonna go in here. Okay, so now we're gonna set up the actual input. Input action, we set it to look right here. We're gonna split this. Then we're gonna add controller yaw input to the X. So we're gonna do it on triggered, but you can do it on, well, no, you can't do it on any one, but these are all the options that you have. So when the input gets triggered, it calls this. When it just starts, it calls that. While it's going, it calls that. When it's canceled, and then when it's completed, so when you let go of the key, it does that. But we want to do it on triggered, okay? And then add pitch. Okay. Want to keep it organized, which is hard with this. Okay, and then you can comment by highlighting, pressing C, and then look input. Camera, look input. Okay, save. And then when you run, you can see and move the camera. We have to change some settings on the character for it to actually work like we want to, but we're already moving the camera around. Okay, and then input action move. So for movement, it's a little more work, but still easy. So we're gonna split the struct again. We're gonna do add movement input. Okay. So for this movement input, we gotta create control rotation. Then we're gonna split this. And from here, we're gonna get right vector. Just get right vector. And we're also gonna split this. And we're only gonna plug in the Z. And then we're gonna plug that in here. And boom. And then we're gonna do the same again. But instead of the right vector, we're gonna get the forward vector. Split it. Also again, we only plug in the Z. And add movement input again. Okay. And then for the scale, we're gonna plug in X to this one. So this one controls moving left and right, right? And this one over here controls moving forward and back. And that's it. And you can comment it. Movement, whatever. So now we could click play. We press forward, we press back, press left, right, and we start moving, right? So we got the input work. Obviously the animations don't match because we don't have it set up to work. So we don't have like a walk backwards or walk left and walk right. But we have it set up. Okay, now to fix the camera, we go SpringArm and then use pawn control rotation. So just clicking that, you can move up and down, left and right. But as you can see, the character is still turning with you, right? And you might want that. I don't want that, okay? So for that not to happen, we're gonna go click on the parent of everything. We're gonna click for rotation, okay? And then orient rotation to movement. This one right here, we're gonna click it. Play now. Oh, no. Oh yeah, so this one, and then we're gonna unclick this one. Unclick, use control rotation yaw. I'll save, play, and now we're moving around. Yeah. So that's all set up now. Okay. So after that, we're gonna set up jump because that's one of the basic things that come with a sample project. So to do that, we have to set up an input. So we don't have to make another one of these. We just make an action, input action, jump. And this is a Boolean because you're either jumping or you're not. There's no 2D value to it. When you save it, make sure you save it. And then you add it to your input action mapping, the jump. And then you set your keybind to space or whatever you want to use it. Okay. Now we go here and we do input action jump. Untriggered, we literally just call jump. Okay. Now we're moving around. and jumping. So that is pretty much the basic setup to get your character moving around. We're going to comment this. And we're done with this one.